Hey everyone, welcome back to Level 1 Gaming, and today I've got a review for Butcher's Creek. Dave Szymanski is well known for experimental and atmospheric games such as Dusk and Iron Lung. His most recent game is a first person slasher called Butcher's Creek. Played entirely from the first person perspective, the story is told to you through on screen text displaying what your character is saying and thinking while exploring, and through various notes, journals, and environmental storytelling. The atmosphere in this game is thick, with every inch feeling detailed with grime and filth that you can almost smell. You play as a disgusting loser, following a lead on authentic snuff film videotapes, leading you to Butcher's Creek, Pennsylvania. As you explore and start to find snuff films and some notes, you find yourself captured by the insane murderers behind the snuff films. You wake up in a cell, naked, and cut your way out. With no clothes and bare feet, you have to make sure you don't step on glass and other harmful objects on the ground as you explore and you make your way out of this nightmare. Say cheese and murder! Another heavy theme in the game is that of snuff films. You will find the human remains and these videotapes laying around. Collecting these tapes allows for a variety of uses, including using them to open locked areas, to save your game at various televisions, and the more of them you carry, the higher your total health is, with each tape you carry adding an extra 5 to your total health, with 10 tapes maxing out your total health, kind of acting as a health upgrade for as long as you hold on to them. Meaning you sometimes will need to reduce your total health if you only have 10 tapes left and need to save your game. This makes for a fun balance of strategy when it's important to use your tapes to get extra items from the locked areas or to save them to keep your total health high with some extras to spare for saving. This drives you as a player to explore every dirty, crusty, and bloody corner to find more tapes to get as many rewards, total health, and save points as you can. The gameplay has now made you just like this loser, desperately looking for snuff films. Another mechanic involving film is that of taking photographs to regain lost health. So when you find human remains, blood, gore, and more, take out your camera and snap a picture. This also includes the blood and gore you cause as you fight your way out, making for a satisfying mix of combat as you then photograph the mess you made to regain health. You can also gain health by finding photographs in the world laying around depicting other violent acts. These gameplay mechanics drive the player to search the environments carefully, which in turn means you will always be soaking in every inch of the atmosphere this game provides. Searching for hidden photographs, tapes, unlocking secret areas, and more, all made for a satisfying exploration loop that never felt old and kept you hooked in the game's thick atmosphere. The game will take you to many different environments, from rundown houses, an old sawmill, forests, industrial areas, and more. All of these different locations have unique themes, notes, and journals you will find that tie into the world building and lore being conveyed to the player. Each area feels unique, run down, gross, and hostile in all the right ways for a game like this. The art direction in the game is fantastic, and every inch of the game feels filled with detail, giving everything that extra grimy and gross feel. Bringing this world and atmosphere all together are fantastic effects and a great soundtrack by Andrew Hulshult, who also provided some of the shouts that the enemies will call out to you with. Hammer time. The combat in Butcher's Creek is simple but effective. I kept finding myself getting in a good rhythm of attacks, parries, dodging, movement, and exploration. You'll find various tools to carve and bludgeon your enemies everywhere, such as planks of wood, hammers, knives, pliers, wrenches, pickaxes, sledgehammers, and more. You'll also find a variety of environmental hazards, where using your kick attack is key to pushing enemies into moving saw blades, bottomless pits, and other death traps. Enemy encounters are frequent but always tense. You never know what is around each dark corner. Enemies shout at you as you enter a room, sometimes from total darkness, leaving you anxious as to where that shout even came from. The game starts combat encounters with only one or two enemies, but by the end of the game you'll enter rooms with numerous pairs of enemies that will not wait to take turns to take you out. However, the AI can act brain dead at times. In the heat of battle, an enemy will sometimes stop attacking, stare at you, walk away, stop with their back turned as it contemplates life and their choices, before coming back to attack you. It's odd, doesn't happen all the time, but every few encounters you will see some brain dead behavior like this, which is really the only thing that breaks the mood and atmosphere that the game builds up. The combat gives you a primary attack, block, parry, and a kick. The kick helps push enemies away and stagger them for a moment, while you focus on another enemy instead. The parry is vital to blocking incoming attacks, or you need to be quick to move backwards or in whatever direction to dodge. Parrying successfully will help generate some stamina, as all of these functions of the combat system uses a bit of your character's available stamina. Running around and spamming attacks will drain your stamina and leave you vulnerable, so it's important to be deliberate and rhythmic with your attacks. The various weapons you find also have durability, so they will break down over time, sometimes leaving you in the heat of battle with a broken weapon and enemies in your face as you scramble to find a new weapon to maim and gouge with. Every weapon also has 3 stats: condition, speed, and damage. The better the condition of a weapon, the longer it will last, and the more enemies you will be able to kill with it. The speed of a weapon is how fast you will be able to swing it, with the build-up being shorter or longer before the swing makes contact with an enemy. And damage being how hard you're hitting these enemies, with higher damage meaning fewer hits to death. The condition of your currently held weapon is shown as a bar above your health in the bottom right of the screen, and your stamina is a white bar that appears at the bottom center of the screen, but it only appears when stamina is in use or being replenished. When you hover over any weapon in the game, with one already equipped, a simple prompt on the HUD will show you if the weapon you are looking at has higher, equal, or lower stats for the 3 discussed: condition, speed, and damage. There are a lot of different weapons to experiment with, so do not be shy to keep trying out different weapons and seeing which one you like the most. Each weapon feels and handles differently due to these 3 stats, leaving each one giving the player a unique and satisfying feeling when attacking enemies with it. I found myself really liking a pocket knife that I found that was fast, did decent damage, and while it could not block effectively, it was unbreakable. I found that bonus and its speed very effective, and leaned into natural manual movement to dodge attacks. It was a fun experiment and reminded me of the many immersive sim first-person games that always has one random unbreakable weapon. And yes, I found the soap. So, in conclusion, I'm not someone who gets scared from movies or video games, so I can't comment if the game is scary. It definitely builds a haunting world with disturbing lore, so I think those who like to get creeped out and scared in games like this totally will. My only negatives with the game would be the AI issues I described earlier and the heavy VHS filter. I feel it is overused in a lot of games today, and the filter here is extremely overdone. I obviously understand why it's being used given the theme of the game, but it just made it way too soft. Luckily, it can be turned off, and to me, the game looked transformative turning it off, with the game now looking like Condemned, Fear, Doom 3, or Prey, with the sharp stencil shadows and texture work. Something I didn't even notice at first with the VHS filter on. Butcher's Creek is short, coming out to about 2 to 3 hours on a first playthrough, without really focusing on trying to do everything and exploring every nook and cranny. I found myself engaged and replayed the game on a higher difficulty, and there's an easy scene select to replay any level you want at any time. I ended up putting a solid 5+ hours into the game after replaying it once, and one time on the default difficulty, and then again on the hardest difficulty. And then after, while working on this review, I ended up just doing another third run because I just enjoyed it so much. At a price of under $10 on Steam, I highly recommend you pick up this game if you think you will enjoy it. So, let's look at the ratings here. Gameplay, I give it an 8.1 out of 10. Story, I give it a 9.2 out of 10. Sound, I give a 9.4 out of 10. Graphics, an 8.9 out of 10, with a final score of 8.9 out of 10. And just to summarize some pros and cons. Pros, the game has thick atmosphere with a haunting and disturbing story told through fantastic world building and a wild final act. Varied environments, huge variety of weapons, and an innovative photography and videotape mechanic. Cons, the enemy AI can be fairly dumb at times, stopping and walking away before remembering they were in the middle of a fight. And the VHS filter is extremely overdone and robs the game of its art direction. Luckily, it can be turned off. Thanks so much for joining me here on Level 1 Gaming with this review of Butcher's Creek. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.